What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Thank you all for showing up. Hey, listen, man. Today turned into a three-piece spicy, extra spicy with a biscuit. Somebody almost got beat up, and my man. Hey, if Eddie Jackson ever watches this show, hey Eddie, you my man, 50 grand and all that. But man, I don't think you want no smoke with that. That's a little too much to be biting off, man. That's a little too much to chew, Eddie. That's a big dude, man. Don't be trying to fight that cat, man. He's a little too big for that, man. But hey, listen, man, it got chippy out there today. And that's going to be a large part of the conversation we're going to have today is the dynamics of it. What happens on the field, what happens in the locker room. And that being the most important part, the second half of that. What happens in the locker room? What happens to the dynamics in the locker room after a fight? Yes, fights happen all the time. Skirmishes happen all the time in camps. That's what you want, man. These are NFL guys. It's a bunch of high-spirited dudes. You know, you got 90 high-spirited dudes. It's gonna be something once in a while. It's about what happens after that. And we'll get into some of the details of that kind of thing during the show, man. But hey, it's my birthday. Got up feeling. Thank you, man. Got up feeling a little this morning because it's all rainy and stuff, man. Hey, listen, I got up, got me some coffee, ran in here, start taking my notes for the show, man. Got it going, got done with that, man. Jumped in the shower, man. I'm a weird dude, man. When it comes to shower, man, I shower like 4 different body washes, man. So
hey.
So I got in there. I'm all sudsed up. I got Old Spice body wash, Dial, 2 different kinds of coats. I'm in there sudsing it up, man, feeling good. And just, man, I can't explain what showers do for me, man. It just raises my spirits. And I got it right before I came onto the show. So I'm feeling good, man. How about you guys today?
Too fresh and too clean, huh? See, that's why I got the spicy. It's Little Man's birthday. That's why it's a spicy day at practice at camp, man. On Nomad's birthday. Go figure. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Been rocking with us throughout camp. Feeling good. I'm on the move right now. So pardon me for being in the car, but we're gonna give it to you like we always do.
Right on. I'm in good spirits. Things are good. Things are crazy in Chicago. I'm excited to be back and you know, to get into all that. Big up the chat and birthday big ups to the homie Nomad. What are you saying, Triple R?
Right on, Nomad. Happy birthday. Wish you many more health and prosperity and all of those fine salutations. Big up to all the Nomaniacs tuning in on the Nomad Network. They're liking, they're sharing, they're subscribing. They're going to Facebook and they're doing all the following and fun stuff. So yeah, and big up to Samo. I see you with that fine Corinthian leather, looking very nice, very nice.
I'm glad you said that. I thought you were about to say something else, man. About to scare me, Trick. Don't be messing around with me like that. Play with my emotions.
Oh man.
Hey, look, man. Hey, thank you for all the birthday wishes. I appreciate it, man. But look, man. Let's just talk about. Let's save the whole thing with the dust up for a minute. Polls. I heard him at the podium today. Anybody get a chance to see that?
Hey man, I'm gonna pick that off. I'm gonna kick this one off. You know, usually I back cleanup, but I'm gonna lead off. Tell me the power of polls ain't compelling you. Because the man is sitting up there like, what's your question? Hey, we needed a defensive end. Yeah, I know. People done told me that all year. I got that. Next question. Hey, so what are we going to do? Here's our plan. We're going to do this, this, and this. Next question. But you said you were going to do this, and we did that. Poles has been prudent. He's been fiscally responsible. He doesn't throw around manhole covers and nickels, you know, that old saying that Dicker had about Hallis or whoever. You know, he's being frugal. And anybody who says you got the money, spend it, all y'all got bad credit. So you can shut the hell up. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just talking about the bad credit situation. So, like I was suggesting
situation.
I spent some money for weeks, so like I'm just saying my credit ain't great. It's okay. It's all right. It's all right. But
co-signer, boy, you need a co-signer.
That's okay. He got some money. Sorry, he got some money to spend, and he spent it. I'm happy. So we'll see how things go.
Yeah, man. The thing I appreciate the most about Poles is his transparency, man. He tells us what he's gonna do, man. He told us early on when camp started, it takes two sides to get this done. He was like, yeah, I want to sign a pass rusher, but it takes two sides. So until it comes together, then we're gonna wait it out. He waited it out. He got the guy at his price, and look what we have here now. Everything he's done, and every step of the way, he's been very transparent about it. So that's what I appreciate the most about this dude, and the fact that he is fiscally responsible, and it's leading to good things so far. The team on the field looks good, and that's all we can ask for, right?
That's right. Hey, let me take a second here to address something, because he said it right from the giddy up about people, running up on him in different places, saying stuff to him. And let me tell you something. There's a thin line between a fan and a fanatic. Don't be a fanatic. Again, do not be a fanatic, man. That's borderline psychopath, man. When you're running around the guys with his family and you're running around yelling stuff at them, telling them what to do, man. Don't be ridiculous like that, man.
Hey, no, Matt. This is the same fan base that was at Matt Nagy's kids' high school football game chanting "Fire, Nagy."
I know, man. I
wow.
Fire.
I did not like that, man. I did not like Matt Nagy, but I did not approve of that. I would tell anybody, man, don't be a psychopath, man. You see a guy out with his family, man, be respectful. You can feel how you want to feel. That's definitely something I wouldn't do. I'd walk up to him, shake his hand, ask him how his family's feeling. If he gave me a minute to kind of talk with him, I'd broach that question, but I wouldn't be just yelling stuff like that at him when he's out there with his family. Come on, we better than that, Bears fans. Don't be doing that stuff.
Yes, that was another cold-blooded Bears moment, but the kids didn't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man.
I was going to say Matt Nagy didn't deserve the kids. The kids didn't deserve it, y'all.
That's just foul on so many different levels, man. I can't even get into them all. But yeah, with that said, man, I please don't walk up to a coach and GM and players doing that kind of stuff to them, man. That's just not cool. But yeah, it got chippy out there today, though, fellas, man. It got chippy. They was out there chirping and fighting and all that stuff carrying on, man. But I do like what Alan Williams said, because it's appropriate. You want a competitive practice, but you don't want a combative practice. Here's the interesting thing. What I heard what was going on during the time. Poles got out there and kind of had his 2 cents to say to Eddie Jackson, and then Justin showed his leadership. Mooney, Eddie was part of that, and I believe Darnell Mooney. Those guys got together and talked it out. And, hey, man, we need to keep going in practice, man. We can talk about this stuff later, man, but we need to keep it going, man. We can't have this stuff slowing down practice, whatever was said. But let me tell you guys something. I like to see it. I like to know what it's happening, because I know from experience, if you don't have a certain level of that going on, to me, and I know, knowing what I know, I'd be worried. That would signal to me that's a team that's not ready. They're not prepared to go to war with another team. This sounds like the point in every camp that gets to this point where they're just tired of beating up each other and they're ready to beat up on other people. And so that's just what I've seen from it. But we'll go detailed into what the locker room is like afterwards. And I'll tell you some stuff about that in a minute, man. But what do you guys think about that situation?
It's a part of preparing for camp, man, preparing for the season. During the season, there's going to be some teams that are going to get chippy with you, and they're going to talk to you, especially the offense, especially if they feel like the offense is soft. So, for lack of a better word, if you have that being soft, then teams are going to try to get under your skin. We know that we're going to end up facing Detroit Lions, who has a guy who who enjoys that part of the game, and Charlie Gardner-Johnson. So I think it's needed. You know, the offense has to develop that thick skin. The defense, they've been chirping on camp from all accounts, and it was about time for them to, fight back a little bit or show a little fight back. And it's welcome, man. Like you said, as long as it doesn't spill over into the locker room, as long as there's a respect of each other afterwards, then hey, it's all good.
Well, I'm super glad to see it. I'm glad to see it on the front. I'm glad to see that it was Eddie Jackson that was pissed off. That's what I'm glad about, to be honest with you. If Chase Claypool was pissed off, it means that, it means that he's just a hothead, right? That's it. What I'm hearing now is that Chase Claypool is doing stuff that is causing the defense to get angry. And that's the type of stuff that I need him to do. I need him to be passionate when he's running his routes, get into the defenders' heads. You brought up Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. That's what he does to our players. He does that to wide receivers. We need a wide receiver who's going to get in the defense's head and mess with them a little bit, have them worried about their steak, whether they can eat.
This is Nomad Live, and not Nomad at Night, which can be seen every Sunday evening. Make sure you check it out, and on demand.
About the Monday show, Trip. We're gonna do a Monday show because if there's no practice,
what was say that again? What was that?
If there's no practice, and there's no reason to do a afternoon update show, we will give you guys an extra Nomad at Night on Monday. So we'll go Sunday night and we'll do Monday night if there's no practice. So if anybody knows what the practice schedule looks like Monday, you can tell me in the chat and we'll basically decide whether or not we're going to do a show. But if there's no content, there's no practice that day, we will do a Nomad at Night on Monday.
Oh, so that means another back-to-back double header MFer in the kitchen.
2 MFers in the kitchen, huh?
All right, let me
MFer in the kitchen squared.
Yeah, I'm gonna marinate on that for a few ticks. But now, as far as camp goes, let me phrase it like this: with all these alphas, athletes, that made it to the NFL, there's gonna be, let's say, they're trying to determine who's the biggest cock in the farm. You know what I mean? So they got to battle it out, and that those rams battling each other, all that testosterone, and it's like and it's cool because the mentality of, I know my offensive teammate from the defensive perspective is tough. He's gonna come at me. He's gonna be able to take what I give him. So when we go out and battle on Sundays or Thursdays or whatever day the game it is, I know that when my offensive teammate goes against the opposing defense, they're going to battle. They're going to give it to him because they got that dog in them. And the same goes for both. So as long as we got those personalities, those alphas that can eat but maintain control, not get the flags, not throw off helmets, not throw any punches, then we're good. Because they're hungry, they're battle, and it's like, yo, I don't take no stuff up and screw you. You can say screw. Yeah, screw you. It's like, nah, screw you. It's like, So yeah, I like it. They're tired of seeing each other and they're ready to hit somebody else. So Indianapolis, I know it's preseason or not even preseason, but practice. But yeah, strap it up, fools.
So just for clarification for my own personal brain or whatever, you were talking about roosters, right?
Yeah, like, that's what I say on the farm.
All right, just making sure. Roosters. Sorry.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Yeah, the biggest cock on the farm.
Yeah, roosters.
Let's get that cleared up.
Yeah.
All right, so now that we're back on track.
Kids, my bad.
No. You feel free. I just needed clarification.
I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Oh, no. Just making sure that we're on the same track. You know what I mean? Going the same direction with the show.
Oh, Lordy.
We're going to
the
farm for a little bit.
Hey, I spoke my piece about it already, man.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, listen, all right. Go ahead, kids. You got something?
I'm just saying, it's what you like to see. You want to see them tempers flare, and especially, like I said it a couple of days ago. He's a passionate one. He's going to be the hothead. That's what Darnell said about him. I kind of want him to play that role, be that that ball of energy that we need on the field when shit's flat, right? When you're playing flat, and you need that guy to go out there and do some kind of thing. Be that guy. I love it.
Hey man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you about the dynamics that happen. Samuel can probably, I know he'll verify exactly what I'm saying, because this is exactly what really goes on. This is probably the first test of leadership on a team. This is when because after this, man, this is when leadership really takes off and you establish a culture amongst yourselves as players. You say there's no GM. There's no coach in the locker room. That needs to get handled in the locker room, however it needs to get handled. And what happens after that, it spills into the locker room. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, and every team doesn't have a team full of dudes that love each other, man. They really get after it and get after each other, man. And sometimes you got to go in the locker room. Hey, man, let's get this all straight. Because I'm gonna tell you what happens, Sam. You know this, man. It's like every team, every position group is its own mini game, right? Every position group, every room, from the receivers, the tight ends, every room in that building is its own little gang. And then what happens is, once this part of camp starts, they turn into two separate games. So you got the offense, they're like tribes, man. You got the offense versus the defense. They all won 2 games. And the leaders of those 2 gangs need to come together and straighten some stuff out. It doesn't always work out that way, so it's that easy and that simple. From my experience, there's been a couple times when I was in school where we couldn't resolve it. We was in there for a couple hours and couldn't resolve it. And guess what? It ended up, man, hey, Deuce, that's what they call me, Deuce. Hey, man, we need to get them gloves off. I have boxing gloves. And so I get a couple pairs of boxing gloves. We take it over to the dorm, because you better not do it in the locker room like everybody going home. Go take it over to the dorm and let them duke it out. You know what I mean? It comes to stuff like that. I doubt that it gets to that level in the NFL, but that's the kind of stuff that happens in the locker room, man. So, Sam, you want to speak on that?
Man, it gets crazy. You're not lying about that. I got a little story. I remember a time when I was in the locker room, and this was during training camp. Somebody was calling me Stick. It was one of the running backs. He kept calling me Stick. And I was a smaller guy. I was a smaller defensive end, and I didn't like that. So I took exception to it. I was like, hey, you want to go out to the practice field early? And I couldn't wait to get out in the practice field that day, man. Every rep in any drill where I got the opportunity to hit this dude, I was hitting him. We were scrapping, going back and forth, pulling each other's helmet. The coaches are wondering, like, what's going on between these two? And at the end of practice, we laughed about it, and the whole thing was just a misunderstanding. He was like, man, I wasn't calling you skinny. I was just saying you had a little stick on you. You were hitting your shoulder pads. You've been popping a little bit. I was like, oh man, well, I took offense to it, and I didn't know what you were saying. I just got upset, and I got hype about it. Like, man, I was upset, and the entire defense was rallied up, and everybody was just rallying behind me that day too, because it was a competitive practice. The coaches were just wondering, like, what's going on? But we talked about it. We laughed about it afterwards, man, and it kind of brought the team closer together. I think for the rest of the training camp, and I think that's what's going to happen with Eddie and Claypool, man. They're going to go into the locker room, man. They're going to dap it up. Everybody going to laugh about it, joke about it, make jokes with each other, man, and it'll be all good. But on the field, they're going to compete, man, and I appreciate that, because you know why? Because they're both passionate about the game, man. They're passionate about what they can do, and and they want to push each other. Everybody, no one wants to look bad on the football field, man, and no one wants to be talked about and told that you're underperforming, or so it's going to be that way, and it's welcome. I think the coaches welcome it, as long as it brings the team back together at the end of the day, and you have the leadership in the locker room to do that.
Hold on, Sam. Let me throw it right back at you, man, because I think we got to make sure we don't minimize that part where I was talking about every room is like a little gang And then by the time you
yeah.
start to do being competitive, offense turns into one game, defense turns into one game.
Yep. The offensive line hates the defensive line because we competing throughout practice. We have our one-on-ones, then we go to team periods where we're competing. We go to inside run, we're competing. Like it gets nasty, especially during training camp where you don't have anyone else to hit. You're going up against the same guys every day. And they start cheating a little bit because they know your moves. They kind of start figuring you out and start predicting what you're gonna do. And people take offense to it. It's so crazy. And the DBs and the wide receivers do the same thing. And then the running backs and the linebackers. There's always these little competitions within each unit of the offense and the defense. So it gets really competitive. Then the offense as a whole and the defense as a whole, when you go to those 11-on-11 team periods, it just gets really competitive. Just everything transferring over from those one-on-ones, and guys just want to get the best of each other.
Let me real quick before you guys go, man. I wanted to it was funny about it all. Thinking back on it right now, I'm thinking as Sam's talking. It's funny because I'm tighter with the guys that I got into it with the most. That's what's weird about it all. At all these years later, I'm tight with them probably more than the rest of the guys, man. And that's what happens, man. You got alpha males in there duking it out, man. Cream puffs around here, man. Hey, you try me, I'm gonna try you back. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. And then what happens in the end. Don't worry about the fire you see right there. What happens is after you put it out. Don't worry about that. Don't pay no attention to that little spark up. What happens is what happens afterward. That's important.
Well, what happens, the best leaders also know how to be followers. So when you have right now you've got a locker room of 90 guys who were the biggest cocks in their yard on their farm.
Roosters. Holy Lord.
Roosters, cock, same thing. It's synonyms. So, you have all of these competing for roster spots. And, so those personalities are going to come out. Some are more laid back, like, Justin Fields, they say he's a more quiet, follow me, do as I do type leader, as more than like Bojack is a rah-rah, loud, vocal type leader. And so it's putting all these personalities together, figuring out who's worthy, who is battle tested because I went up against them. I give them my seal of approval. I approve of them as a teammate. And all of that goes, from each individual room throughout the team. So the DBs, the linebackers, the D-line, they all meet separately. And like in the college setting or on the road, they eat and hang out and work out all together, so, and as units. And then they come together as a defense. The offense comes together in offense. And then by the time the season starts, you hope they come together as a team. And when they whittle down that 53, you got the right mix of personalities and talent. And then also something that's really underrated, bringing in Mercedes Lewis, who's, the veteran in this league, and say, hey, he's seen it all. He knows the situations and he can help, be that mentor in the locker room along with the other veterans that they do have that can assume those roles, beyond the coaches. And that's only going to help the team grow, these young guys nurture. So these 1-year contracts, they can pay dividends down the line, even if those specific players are no longer here. So as this locker room comes together, you're going to see these dust ups, but, we're going to also see them have each other's backs, if the time comes, when the time comes.
There's also an interesting dynamic here, just again, because it's Eddie Jackson on the flip side, because, Eddie's an older vet. He's one of the longest mainstays left on the team outside of maybe, Cody Whitehair, a couple other guys. He should be recognized as a leader on that team, and we're in a transition, right? We're kind of completely moving away from what was once 2018 and into something completely brand new, and he definitely sees that. And going up against a young buck who might be giving him a hard time, might be a little bit of an issue for an Eddie Jackson. But it's super good to see. I like to see the competition, and I think the locker room can handle a little bit of that.
Mike Withrow is making a comment there on Facebook. Battle bonds of brotherhood. The band of brothers. You go to battle together, and so you just form that bond that will last for years.
Hey, yeah, and this is what Jay Sanders was saying. He met his best friend. His best friend was a guy he fought with on his football team, right? It happens all the time.
Hey, man, go ahead, Sam.
Nah, yeah, that's just you mentioning that just made me think about it as well. Like me and that guy became really close. He's one of my closest friends now. We still talk. He lives out in New Jersey. We still talk about that moment every time we see each other. He still tries to call me Stick, but he said, "Well, you ain't Stick no more." Now he look at me like, "Well, you ain't Stick no more."
You more of a limb.
Yeah, but yeah, we laugh, we joke about it, man. Whenever we get together, see each other, and talk to each other, man. We do a Zoom call every now and then with all the fellas, so just to get together and reminisce on things. So it's always good, man. Like I said, what don't kill you make you stronger, and it brought us together, and that was the good thing.
Hey, let me peel another layer of the onion back for you guys and kind of tell you what kind of happens behind the scenes. Listen, from all accounts, Chase Claypool has been tearing their ASS up in practice all camp long. And Sam, team defensive team meeting. Hey man, we can't let Chase get off on us like that. Hey, I'm gonna put something on today. They talking all kind of crap in the team in the defensive team meeting. So they probably targeting like, hey, hit Chase today, man. Make him feel you or something. And he came out there, and from what I heard, it was probably a little bit of a late hit out of bounds. And Chase got up and snatched Eddie helmet off, and that started the whole fight. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Sam. I know you got something for that one.
Yeah, man. It's gonna get testy like that, man. Whenever you competing, man, it's gonna be something that triggers you. I specifically remember you going into the meeting rooms, and the coaches will fire it up. Really, those are the people who really ignite that fire. The coaches will show film, and they'll talk about you, man. They're gonna call you out in front of everyone on the team. Then you got your boys next to you, like, "Hey, man, don't let them do that shit. More, man. I don't want to see that happen again." Right. And after that, you hype. I specifically remember one time in practice, someone got the best of me on a rep, and I kept trying to get up doing it was doing a live drill, 11 on 11. I kept trying to get up, and he kept pushing me back down, because he had got me to the ground already. So he pushed me down like 3 times within this one play. And the defensive coordinator was like, "So Sam, what are you doing? Looking for your contact lens on the ground there? What is this guy helping you? He trying to help you out there?" Everybody just dying laughing about it, like, hey, and it became a little joke for a while. Like, "Sam, you got your lenses in today?" I was like, okay. So now I got to go get the best of this dude, that specific guy who did this to me, to put it on tape. Now I got to put something on tape so we can say, "Hey, I got my payback now." Now, hey, y'all cut me some slack. Like, I got this,
Hey, before I ask you this question, hey, thank you, Plank, for make sure you guys hitting up the like button for us, man. We need that. Make sure if you haven't subscribed, you subscribe. We need you to do that, man. We need to push this thing forward. But Sam, I don't know about your experience, but it seems like to me, in all the camps I've been involved in, it's usually the one-on-one periods and the 7-on-7 periods that usually generate most of the dust-ups. I don't know what it was for you, though.
Yeah, it goes from the one-on-one to the team period. When you get those, when it gets testy during the one-on-one periods, you already know what's about to come during the team periods. If you see a lot of little fights during one-on-ones, then you already know. But once we get the team, it's about to get crazy. And we always was able to forecast it that way. It's like, man, when we go to 11 on 11, or we do an inside run today, it's about to be something today. I already know the offensive line mad, the defensive line is upset. Like, it's about to be physical. It's about to be a really physical practice today. You can always sense it, and it always kicks off from those one-on-ones,
Yep. Hey, before y'all go, Lee Bruin, I haven't got an update on Aldo. Lee Bruin asked, is there any news on Aldo Gandia on the bar room? No, I will check on him today, though, and see if there's any updates on him. But yeah, I'll get back to you guys soon. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll hear something. But that's all on whether or not he responds. But I will check on him. Well, go ahead, Trick.
I like the passion, but you also got to be smart because refs will throw a flag, and it's usually the second guy, the retaliator, that gets the flag. So, hold your water, understand that you're mad, and you're going to get that guy, but wait till the next play. And then you give him a little what for, you know what I'm saying? And then you're the first guy, and don't do it when the refs are watching. But yeah, there's always cameras. But anyway, don't get the retaliatory flag when something like that happens. Now, if they're hitting your quarterback, now you light them up, then you get whatever flag that's worth it. But being a receiver out there like that, don't let them get in your head. Being a running back, don't let guys get in your head. On defense, don't let offensive guys get in your head. You have to maintain that mental awareness, and don't let your anger and frustration bubble over, because now you're hurting the team.
Oh, let me interrupt one more time. I apologize, kids, but Jay Sanders wants to know what happened to Aldo. Let me give you an update. If you want to check what the status is on Aldo, you can check him out on Twitter. He's usually putting a video or something up there. But for those who don't know, he had to go and have an emergency surgery, because he didn't have any feeling in his hand, and he ended up having a blocked artery or something like that. And they ended up finding out later during that surgery that he had an aneurysm in his like a right side of his body or left side of his body towards his shoulder, and they had to have a corrective surgery for that. And that's based off of a stroke, and I think it's just residual from the stroke that he had not long ago. And so yeah, he's down pretty good right now,
and they said he had a sixth rib that was getting removed.
An extra rib that they had to go in and remove. So he was having like 2-3 surgeries at once and stuff. So, so he's I think he's gonna need some time to get on the mend and get some rehab done and get back at it. So, man, good vibrations to Aldo, man. And again, I will check on him and give you guys a report the best I can.
Yeah, I saw that he did a couple of clips for Dan and all those last shows. So, he's in good spirits, but again, he's going to need his rest.
Yeah, Aldo's everybody's favorite, man. He's like a father to everybody, man. Because
he's the godfather, baby.
All these pods and stuff that most of these pods that you guys enjoy, stem from something that happened at the bar room. Aldo kind of spearheaded the movement and had babies out of the mothership, and we're one of them. So always going to be dear to the heart, man. I'm gonna check on my guy. I really like Aldo as a person, man. We're cool. So I am going to check on him and make sure he's good. But hey, Kez, and let me tell you something.
Yeah, bro.
The offense seemed to, by all accounts, get the better of the defense today a little bit. Defense was a little chippier and a little chirpier, but Justin was lights out from what I understand in team period. Really accurate, dumping the ball off, getting the ball out of his hands quickly. That was an emphasis that I heard out of all the reporters today. He was dumping that ball off, getting it. Bayless got a good I don't think this was a dump off. This was a route down the field, but he hit Bayless on a nice route. Even we had a Roshan sighting today. So there was a lot of good things going on. Bad thing I heard all day was Tyler Scott is having a drop today. He's having a lot of drops in 11 on 11s, and he had 1 or 2 drops in punt return. So Tyler Scott needs to pick it up, man. We don't want to hear any bad stuff about him. We can't have that kind of stuff in the game.
Well, once again, iron sharpens iron. Quote Mr. Flus. Yeah, man, that's exactly what we want to see. One more time, where people were a little bit down because the defense is stepping up. Now the defense is having their lunch ate. Things are getting chippy. They're a little bit pissed off. That's exactly what we want. We want a little back and forth. We want to see this defense grow. We want to see this offense grow. I think we're seeing both of those things. They just brought in a couple of new heads. I'm kind of happy with where all of this is going, because I think even though Mercedes Lewis is a little bit of an older guy, he's a guy coming in who has full understanding of what Luke Getsy's all about. So he can probably hit the ground running. Let's keep it up, man. I'm pretty pleased with where we're headed.
It's not. I mean, it's concerning, that a wide receiver makes drops, but we still got to remember we got to let rookies be rookies, and that was something that he maybe has to work on because he's still thinking. Who knows? And then Rojo, I heard he's out there trucking fools. I like that. Yeah, get some. So the reports are good. Justin's working on his short, quick game, which was very frustrating. To some, is like, why can't we see the slants? Where are the screens? Where are the wheels? Where are the flats? And they're working on all of that stuff. So it's all good as far as I'm concerned. Let's just keep it rolling. Keeping and getting guys healthy, and we're progressing. We're progressing to the season, baby. We're progressing to the season, baby.
I forgot to mention that Jalen was also a mediator when the offense and defense came together after that skirmish. So I want to make sure Jalen Johnson gets his love. He was part of that leadership that kind of because when things come apart, it's all about putting it back together. So he was integral in that aspect of it. But yeah, man, I liked what I liked about the press conference. I just want to bounce over here before I forget it. What I liked about the press conference was the answers about Yannick. And I got two of the same answers that I just told you guys the other day. I always thought that the unique signing was an enhancement to the roster. It wasn't because we were lacking anything on the roster. It was an enhancement. And Poe said the exact same thing that I said. And also Alan Williams said the exact same thing. He liked what they had in the first place. But adding unique just was a bonus. You're just putting fuel on the fire now. And Eddie, let's just talk about that first.
Yeah, man, that's what we knew already, man. We had already discussed that by all accounts, the defensive line was having a good training camp. We had guys that were stepping up at defensive end, and Gibson and Robinson, and then Terrell Lewis. So adding a Yannick Ngakoue and a player of that caliber only makes the defense even better. Not just the defensive line, but the entire defense even better. And I always say that a good defensive end is a multiplier on offense. I think that's the multiplier position, just like a quarterback. It's a multiplier on offense, because if you have to account for this defensive end, then it frees up these other guys on the defensive line. And if this defensive end is dominant and he's rushing the passer really well, the ball comes out sooner, which gives opportunities for the linebackers and the DBs to get interceptions. So, that's that multiplier position. And I'm happy they went out and did what they did in getting Yannick signed up.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, kids. Go ahead.
No, brother, you go.
All right. The D line as a whole has been coming together with the Dexter, who's been sounding good, whose get off and manhandling has been noted. J2K in the chat mentioned Zach Pickens, that he hadn't heard anything, but I had heard that Zach Pickens was doing pretty well and that he was, disruptive and getting into the backfield. And then so you add the Ngakoue in the mix to, Walker, Green, Lewis, and then, your bowling ball guys and Billings and Travis Bell. You got a nice little rotation coming together there. So you got the flexibility that a lot of guys can flip around and play different positions. You got the rotation good. So this is coming together nicely. And up front, they got the linebacker, the whole core who's been revamped, and that's still a battle to be determined. And then the young up and coming DBs. So yeah, adding that Ngakoue veteran presence, who's a sack assassin, basically. That's what he's known as. Even though the flu says he can't play the run and they expect him to, and maybe he can. But if he just does his thing and they have to show him any kind of double team presence on opposing teams, the rest of the line should be able to just eat like a buffet.
Yeah, it's I'm just gonna hit J2K's inquiry because as far as I'm concerned, Yannick Ngakoue here is just going to be a boon for the secondary, the back seven. He's going to basically make the back seven that much more dangerous with just a little bit of pressure. He doesn't have to be a world beater. He doesn't have to be Khalil Mack. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He just has to provide just enough of a worry alongside the rest of that burgeoning and growing line to get that back seven interceptions, and I'm wicked interested in seeing that as we move forward. But yeah, J2K, that whole Pickens thing, yeah, we haven't heard a heck of a lot. He hasn't been making a lot of noise. I'm not extremely worried about that because now we have a little bit of depth in that arena, in that area. It'd be great for Pickens to really step up and be that guy. I'm not so certain he has to. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt and a little bit of time to get to where he needs to get to while other guys get those reps. The last guy that I may want to throw a little, two guys that I want to throw a little bit of love to is Tevin Jenkins. Looks like he was back on the field today. And Nate Davis was at practice. So that's better than not being at practice. So I'll give Nate Davis a big thumbs up just for, a participation trophy. I'm sending him a hero sandwich in the mail.
Hey,
And also, before you go on that, I want to just mention that I didn't mention Roy, DA, and Jalen Harris. Give them their love on the D line as well. Go ahead.
Listen,
I'm good. Go no man.
To speak to J2K's question, I remember asking, talking to our D-line coach. I don't know why I was cool with the guy, but he was just a cool guy. He'd come down and eat with us and stuff. I'd be talking to him about random things. And to speak to the point about Zach Pickens, I'll tell you this straight from I think Jason McKee said this. He said that he was looking good out there, really, really nicely out there, getting off the ball really well. But this is and another thing about that, they did elongate these guys' stance. Every defensive lineman, they changed their stance. And when you elongate a guy's stance, the idea is to get him off the ball a whole lot faster, like give him a little more torque off the ball so the punch is a little harder. And so that being said, I want to tell you about talking to my D-line coach in college. I was like, man, what's the hardest part about doing this stuff when you got all these different guys from everywhere? And he said, man, the worst part about it is every player comes in with his own set of problems. Like you have to clean up the bad habits before you can get to technical stuff that you need him to do for that system. So I would imagine Zach Pickens has probably had, I've heard that same story. Somebody said that it was some bad coaching down in South Carolina or something like that. That could be true. But yeah, he said that the hardest thing is getting rid of those old habits and developing better ones. And so we never know how much work they're doing with Zach Pickens right now. But I would imagine, after playing in the kind of system that he was playing in, it's probably taking a little bit longer to get him cleaned up in the manner that they want him.
Yeah, I think that's okay. Again, he's a rookie. Some of the rookies is going to take a little bit more time for them to acclimate. And again, that interior defensive line, they've stacked a couple of guys. They got a couple of guys. We're starting to see a little bit of depth there. It's so funny because that whole situation we were a little bit more afraid of earlier. Much earlier. 6 months ago, I'm much less worried about that particular position. I think we're going to look very stout, especially against the run. So that's where I am.
It's in the details, all the little technique, little minor details in the technique. When you're playing for different teams, you're the biggest guy on the field, or the biggest guy in your conference or whatever. You can get away with a lot of technique issues, where you're not technically sound because of your strength, because of your speed. But when you come to the pros, everybody is a pro now. So they're typically technically sound because they're being coached up as pros. So you have a lot that you need to work out and work on, to prevent wasted movements, and hand placement is really important for defensive and offensive linemen, and that's something that people struggle with when they come into that position, and at different levels of the game. So whatever it is, I'm fully confident that Zach Pickens is going to overcome it, because he wants to be great, man. He wants to be that great pro, and as long as he's willing to put in the work, he's going to be all right, man. I've heard good things about him from Jason McKee and Barnestad, so we'll see what happens.
So you got go ahead, Trip. You got something else?
Our resident Renaissance man and draft savant J2K, brought up that Pickens actually said that the coaching wasn't very good and that he knew NFL coaching was better. And more importantly, he said it would fix his run defense. And, that brings up the point that just because these guys made it to the pros doesn't mean where they're coming from was good. It means they were good, but the college coaching staffs are not pro coaching staffs. And the college, coaches got what they wanted out of these players because of their athletic abilities and what they could do, and it fit their scheme for that team. And they weren't trying to refine techniques or tactics, on the pro level. So now, with the coaches that we have and this teaching staff as they've been touted to be, they should be able to, get rid of those bad habits, show them, the right way to do things physically, mentally, the way they feed themselves nutritionally, and put them on a whole new path, to be young men as their bodies are developing for the young guys. And the veterans have been through this. That's why they're veterans. And so they're reinforced, the young guys are, from the systems put in place that Poles did in Hallis Hall for all of those holistic abilities. And now they have these veterans in Lewis and Tanyan and Edmonds. He's a young veteran on the field, that have lived through that, and young guys can see the front to the end. It's like, oh, okay, if I do all of this stuff, I will be able to have a long, productive career. And so it's a good ecosystem that's going on there in Hallis Hall.
Let me get to a couple of questions before we get out of here, man. Mike Withrow wants to know, any reports on Kramer? Do we need a backup center that hopefully can play other positions? That's an interesting question, Mike, because I've heard very little. And when I think Cody Whitehair might have gone down. I think he's planning on taking third team reps. I think you got Whitehair. I think you got what's his name from Greenville?
Patrick Island.
Patrick, and then
Island.
Kramer's a third, and I think might be Dieter getting some snaps in there here and there. That's from what I understand. I don't know, but we talking about him, if we're talking about him making the roster, if I had to take a wild guess on it, I think he can get to the practice squad at best under the circumstances. It just depends on how many centers. I don't know how serviceable that guy is at anything other than center. I think he's kind of small, and I don't think you can really get out of a game with him playing a guard position. And I don't know. If you ask me what his chances are of making the team, I would say probably on the lower tier, man. I would say that, man. But I could be surprised. He might have a little something that I don't know about. He could have improved, gotten stronger. He had a whole year of off season. So I don't know, man. I just haven't heard enough information.
It's not just that. He was hurt last year for quite a bit, right? Yeah, he hurt his leg. So he's had some time to sort of sit and reflect and then work on game and work on rehab and work on game again. So we'll see where he winds up. I'm not really certain he gets to fill a backup role in this scenario. I think on that line, we're probably looking at, again, Leatherwood, Braxton, Leatherwood, Cody, Patrick, Tevin, Davis, Darnell Wright, two more. I'm leaning towards Iceland, Kramer, and Jatari Carter.
Yeah,
Kramer might make it.
I mean,
You know, it's very hard to determine now. It's all got to play out, in health, I'm sure, will play a big part of it. But this center is one of the positions that I think when Paul said in the before the draft that or after the draft that is not addressed as of yet. You know, Whitehair, Patrick are this is their last year of their deals. Whitehair is an older guy. You know, you got the unknown Kramer who was out all last season with the preseason injury, and then you got Dieter who's been here for like 5 years on the practice squad back and forth. So that's a very to be determined position, whether it be a top pick next year on a center or the top free agent. But for now, it's just gotta kind of play out and throughout the camp. So who knows? Between everybody aforementioned, that's gonna reveal itself later.
It's definitely a numbers game too. So you figure they keep 8-9 offensive linemen. So I think the more you can do, the better your chances are of making this team or making that 53-man roster. And the fact that Kramer is limited to the center position is not helping him if he's not a dominant center at that position, or if he's not standing out at that position. I think that the preseason games are going to help him a lot. You know, if he goes out there and he looks well and he looks dominant, then maybe he definitely has a chance of making the practice squad. And, who knows if anyone gets injured or anything, he may have a chance at that 53. But it's definitely an uphill battle for Kramer right now.
And you know what, man? Joseph Matuzak made some really good comments in here. It is usually, and I think Flu said this last year, and it's true. I don't care what team you're on. It's in that second week of pads is when you start really realizing what you have on your team. You gotta start either ascending to that next level that you're hoping they get to, or they start tailing off a little bit. That second week of pads. So sometime next week, I expect some shoes to drop as far as guys that they feel like they could keep, and guys they don't feel like are rising to the level that they need them to rise to. And so that's usually the attrition that happens in a camp, man. That second week in pads is rough. You sore, you know what I mean? And either you're gonna rise up to the top, or you're gonna start descending real quick. And I expect some moves to be made sometime in the mid to late week. And so it's hard to say what Kramer's gonna be. And someone also mentioned Travis Gibson. You know what, man? From what my understanding is, Terrell Lewis is pushing him really hard over there. And I think they got those guys competing over there, and I think they're getting what they want out of that situation by bringing Terrell Lewis to really push Gibson. I've heard good stuff from Travis Gibson, but I've heard more good things about Terrell Lewis, and so it's going to be interesting. The rest of this week, going into next week, what happens and see who sticks out.
Hey, before we go, make sure you mention that roster move.
Oh, Chase Allen. Chase Allen to sign Mercedes Lewis. Yes.
Right on. Oh, and also, as we get ready to close out for the day, we're at 399 subscribers, fellas. You know, we joined in this little venture not too long ago. You know, in the off season when there is very little content, very little to talk about, and we've developed the No Maniacs, which is our tribe of fellow Bears fans from around the world, and that's a very impressive and proud thing to be a part of. And so, with the people watching, if you haven't subscribed, go ahead and push us over 400. It's just the OCD in my head that I got to see that round number, that it flex. So, help us out. Look for the future endeavors we get going with the platforms. And like Nomad, speaking of platforms, what's up with the audio, with the podcast?
We're you know more about it than I do. Actually, we're on Podbean. Podbean also streams it out or puts it out on different platforms as well. I think it's iTunes, Spotify. I think I heard what else? What else did you hear, man?
Radio,
iHeartRadio,
iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon. Yeah, everywhere where you can listen to audio podcasts. I think it should be available by now. If not, look out for it soon. If you don't see it in one location, you can always check the other. We know that it's on Amazon. We know that it's on Spotify and iHeart right now. I think it was still uploading into, what was it, iTunes or Apple Pods, or whatever they call their platform. But please look out for us. Like, subscribe, share with friends, family members who are Bears enthusiasts like we are. You know, this is the time to be optimistic about this team and its future. So, you know, we welcome anyone to come in, chop it up with us. You know, you don't have to agree with anything that we say. You know, we respect everyone and everyone's opinions. We choose to be optimistic because of what we see, but it's your choice to decide how you want to look at the team and what you think is going to be happening in the future.
All right.
Yeah,
And
Travis
also,
Scott saying, go ahead, brother. Go.
just real quick, that the audio version, Nomad Live, will be as it is, accessible for all ears. But Nomad at Night, the audio version will just be the same as the live version. So explicit content. So little ears beware. Go ahead, kids.
Well, just saying, respect. It looks like some folks are saying we're at 404. I don't see it.
Oh, 408.
Support.
That's what's up.
All right. Loving it, guys.
Love it.
Respect.
Tell them we on a race to 1,000, kids. We racing.
This is where we're trying to head to. We head to 1,000 subs. Good things will happen. It'll really open up the doors for us to do all kinds of new stuff. You know, more content for you guys. That all being said, here's some other places that you can find us.
Find us on Facebook, the Nomad Network, Nomad Live, Nomad at Night, a MFer in the kitchen.
Hey,
I'm an effort, baby. Yes,
really quick. J2K made a comment in there before we get out of here. He said he J2K says, I hope we bring back Chase Allen. Thought he'd be a good backup. I wouldn't get my hopes up too high. I think they cut him with an injury destination. And I think that might have been the reason for signing Jared Pinkney, the guy from Vandy. I think that's why they signed him, and probably signed Mercedes Lewis to back that guy up and kind of push so they can push each other. But yeah, I wouldn't get my hopes too high about Chase Allen. I don't know that he makes it back to this roster this year. Maybe after the injury later on in the season or somewhere after he rehabs, but I wouldn't count on that right now.
I wouldn't count on it at all. I think Mercedes Lewis and another tight end is just about enough to cover what we need from a backup perspective. So Mercedes coming in again with a bit of pre-knowledge of that scheme. I think we're probably solid. And same token, I don't think they would have ran out and grabbed tight ends if they really thought Chase had the ability to come back and make a push for the final roster.
All right.
If they want to keep him, they had that. Didn't they still have the opportunity to put him on some sort of an IR to
absolutely
keep him on the team and but not lose that roster spot? I think they did have that option, but they chose to go the other route and just release him. So, I think they're done with him as well.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, man, I liked his traits when he was in college, man. Hey, I'm just sending him good vibrations. Hopefully he gets healthy and can resume his NFL career. That's all I care about. It'd be nice if we still had him here, but more importantly, that he gets to resume his career. But with that being said, let me remind you guys, if there's no practice on Monday, we will do an extra Nomad at Night on Monday night. Hopefully we can get 2 doses of MFer in the kitchen on Sunday night and on Monday night. So, Trip, it's on you, man. This is to you. So
it's on you. So what you gonna do?
Maybe we'll get a leftover Monday. Let's see
exactly what we're gonna get.
Yeah, see how you whip up those. Let's teach us how to whip up some leftovers, man, so they don't taste the same. Because I personally don't like leftovers because I can't eat the same thing the very next day. Maybe the day afterwards, maybe that third day. But the very next day, this very same thing, that's rare for me to do something like that. So it has to change somehow before I can do that.
Yeah.
Okay, Al. I
No,
had an
man.
idea of what to make, but now I'm getting a vision, and it's coming to me. And I got you, baby boy. I got you.
Look
All
out
right,
for
man.
me. All right.
All right, man. Listen, man. I love you guys in the comment, in the chat, man. Like always, man. Really appreciate you guys for showing up, man. If you haven't liked, do that. If you haven't subscribed, do that too. Do all that stuff. Get your notification bell. But with that being said, on behalf of my guys, my co-host Trip, Samo, Kids, my producer in the backstage, Chris, and Nick, who's not here today, messing around with some wiring somewhere. But on behalf of everybody from the Nomad Network, Nomad Live, love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Cock-a-doodle-doo.